More men than ever before have jumped onto self-improvement and have started making some great changes in their personal lives and professional lives. You know, they're picking up good habits and they're ditching the bad habits, and this is really good. This is a really positive thing for society and the world. It has a great ripple effect on lots of different things. But one thing that I'm noticing right now in particular is that within a increasing number of guys, they are making self-improvement their entire personality. Everything about them. I'm talking about the looks maxing guys. I'm talking about the guys who want the absolute perfect body, their clavicle size, all of this crazy stuff. They're going too far. You know, self-improvement was intended to help men become better men. That's the gist of it. But it's now turned into men wanting to become the perfect man. And in my view, that's just not possible. There's no such thing as the perfect man. And a lot of guys are trying to become that. And our young generation are growing up seeing on social media perfect looking people with perfect bodies, perfect lifestyles. And that's their measuring stick. And this wasn't what self-improvement was intended to be. Self-improvement was intended to help men make better decisions and become a better version of themselves. Not a perfect person. But here we are. And I think it's really important that if you're a man, particularly who's been on self-improvement for a few years now, when you start seeing the young generation come through and get onto self-development and self-improvement, you give them a nudge and you say, it's great what you're doing. Keep up the good work, it's fantastic. It's really good that you're choosing to focus on long-term growth rather than short, instant gratification. You're going to have a great future because of the work you do today. But do not aspire to be perfect. And do not look at Instagram and these people who put out the very best version of their lives and use that as a measuring stick for yourself. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who somebody else is today. And aim to be a better version of you, not the perfect man. Now that's the original self-improvement message. That's the message that I got. And that's how I like to go about my business. And I think this is important to spread to the younger generation that are starting to come through and get involved in self-improvement. Because as I mentioned, I've seen a lot of stuff recently, particularly around looks maxing and people trying to change their bodies. I've literally seen guys, I don't know what they're doing specifically, but I think they take some kind of mallet and they hit the clavicle and they bruise it purposefully with the hope that it will grow the bone or swell the muscles around the bone and help it to grow in a different way so that they don't have narrow clavicles. I mean, that's just one thing out of 1,000, but somebody's got to look at that and go, what is going on here? What are we teaching the younger generation? Where did becoming a better man and becoming a better member of your local community and helping out wider society turn into morphing yourself into the perfect specimen? What's gone wrong here? And the weird thing is, this has the opposite effect. When you aim for perfection, you become worse off than you would be if you just aim to be a better man. I'm all for going and aiming high and having ambitious goals, but not perfection, not the finished article. Because life's not over till it's over. And at no point in your life are you going to sit there and say, right, everything's done now. There's always more. So aiming for this particular perfect image, I don't know, maybe you want an 8-pack, for example. And look, these are not bad things to aim for, but let's say, for example, you want an 8-pack and you say, my self-worth is completely dependent on when I get this 8-pack. I'm going to feel so good about myself. Everything is going to be done. I'm not going to have a single thing to worry about for the rest of my life when I get this 8-pack. And then you get it, and for 2 weeks, everything's bliss. And then you want more. And you feel lost. And you need another goal to satisfy you. And this is where we've gone wrong. This is where we've gone wrong. Too many guys on self-improvement are making it their entire personality and striving for absolute perfection. And it's not healthy. This isn't why we started this. It wasn't the purpose behind the movement. The purpose behind the movement was to help men make better choices for their and their family's long-term future. It was to avoid quick hits. It was to avoid instant gratification and choose the narrow path, which in a biblical sense is the long and difficult road. It's narrow, and to get through it requires some discipline and dedication, and everyone else is taking the wide path. And self-improvement originally was intended for those individuals who didn't want to be living in the pub at the weekends and didn't want to be spending hundreds of pounds on takeaways every month and taking drugs and abusing their body and essentially choosing quick dopamine hits, making poor choices that they would regret the next day. But now it's changed. And it's turned into this obsessive, cult-like community of guys who just want to be perfect. And you're never going to be perfect. Never. There's always going to be more. If that's your objective, if there's a certain image that you want yourself to look like, it's never going to be enough. So I say for you young guys that are watching this video now, for you older guys, I hope you pass this message on, but for you younger guys, just aim to be a better version of yourself all the time. Have ambitious goals. Strive to do better. Strive to look the best you've ever looked before. But don't hurt yourself in the process, and don't aim for perfection. Just aim for slight, gradual improvements over time. Of course, if we can have success quick, we'll take it. We're not going to say no to it. But quick success is rare, and often it doesn't last very long. Instead, decide that for my life, I am going to try and improve in as many possible things and as many possible areas as I can. And go for that. Because these guys that strive for perfection, they're not going to be around for as long as the person who just wants to be better. The person who just wants to make improvements and improve the local community, help out wider society. They're not going to be there as long because their motivations are going to drive them crazy. And they're going to find that they can't live up to their goals. It's going to have an internal conflict and an internal crisis that will probably push them away from self-improvement entirely, and they'll get back on the quick hits train. The people that last on self-development and self-improvement are the people that understand that it's not everything. It's a big part of their life, but it's not who they are. They're their own person who just wants to make improvements. One year to the next, they want to look at themselves and say that they're on the right track. And they've been going in the right direction. They've made healthy changes. They're feeling better. They're more educated. They're more confident. They're the people that will last in self-improvement. But these guys who are just damaging their clavicles and trying to design this perfect image of themselves. And it's normally on the physical side of things. But as well, the guys that will make it their entire personality to be on self-improvement. You know, they'll ditch their family, they'll ditch their friends because, you know, they're not on the same self-improvement wavelength as they are. Oh, you don't mew, you're not going to be my friend anymore, you know. You don't do Kegel exercises, oh, well, I can't hang around with you. You know, it's getting weird, guys. It's getting really weird. And we have to be careful with this. And these guys, I hope they realize soon, but they're on the wrong track. They're on the wrong track. And look, again, for you older guys that are seeing young guys grow up and getting onto self-development, please let them know that the whole point of self-improvement was not for perfection. It's just to make yourself a better man, to make yourself a more competent man, to make yourself a better human who's more useful, who can help out your family, help out your friends, not some machine. It's weird and it's worrying. Because it's going to damage a lot of young men and their mental state. They have this bar that is so high and impossible to reach. And they are measuring themselves with it. And that's not what we're supposed to do. That's not what we're supposed to do. Yes, we're supposed to work hard. Yes, we are supposed to push ourselves and improve. If you're not making improvements year by year, there's a problem. There's an issue there. That's something that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, we're not robots. We have to enjoy life. We are people first. Self-improvement is an addition to your life. It is not your life. And more guys need to remember that. And we need to do better with the message that we are putting out there to the young guys, to the teenagers who are growing up today. Because if we're not careful, we're going to do irreparable damage. So make sure your little cousins, your little brothers, you're letting them know what's healthy and what's not healthy. It's our responsibility to do that and help out the next generation. Look guys, I hope you took some value from this video today. If you did, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, comment your thoughts down below. I'd be really interested to hear what you've got to say and what your experience is with this sort of thing surrounding self-improvement. Check out the links down below in the description of this video. Join my Discord community, it's absolutely free. And if you want to hop on a one-to-one coaching call with me where we discuss some of your issues, find a solution, and I will essentially keep you accountable on the way. You'll have one-to-one access with me after your first call. Click the link down below. Book yourself a slot, and I will see you on the other side. As always, guys, thank you for your time and your attention, and I will see you in the next one.